Welcome back to the show, Sweat Success Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. And I thought today was really important to really dive in and talk about CRMs, customer retention management or customer relationship management. And a lot of gyms that I've had conversations with, they don't know what a CRM is, or they don't even use one. And I just think that's a big mistake. And if you're not using one, I suggest that you listen in, make your own decision on whether it's something you want to use or have it might have value in your business. But I know personally, when I first started down this road of operating my own facilities, my own personal training studios within other gyms, I didn't use a CRM. I was running off the coattails of other members that were joining the gym. So a member would come into the gym, they would join, we would offer them, at the time, we'd call it a fitness assessment. They'd go through the process, we'd sit down, we'd do a body composition, and we'd hopefully sell them on training so that way they could actually see some results. Because as you know, a lot of customers just are kind of stuck in that position where they keep making bad decisions or bad lifestyle choices. Needless to say, because we didn't have a CRM, there was no way for us to really track what was going on. And we grew very fast. Because we grew very fast, we were spread across 5 different states. We were in nearly 100 plus locations. And we had no way to really have this back and forth conversation. We didn't have a person or a group of people maintaining that thread of conversation. Now, mind you, back in 2009, the CRM tools that existed were probably not the best, but you fast forward, and in 2014, we started kind of toying around with some of these CRM tools, not to mention I had my own software platform that we were playing with and improving. But the reality was, as we got into this, there was no way to trigger an automation to a customer. And if you're not using a CRM today, there are a lot of great CRM tools out there. And Go High Level right now is probably the best for gym solutions. Pipedrive is another one of my favorites because they're simple and easy to use. But as I'm having these conversations with some of these gym owners, we're recognizing opportunities that they have, right? The canceled members, the expired members, the members who were involved in, at some point, there was some kind of conversation and they went cold, right? They went silent. If you're not communicating with them, and today a lot of gym owners are using 10 different tools, right? You're sending out emails, you're manually texting them on your phone, you're trying to have this dialogue or conversation. And actually the ball gets dropped a lot of times because you as the business owner can't be doing all those things. And if you put it on some staff members, maybe they're not doing it exactly the way that you want them to do it. Or there's pieces or components of that, the nuance of information that you're trying to give to the customers that your own staff is not able to give to them. So with a CRM, you can actually write those messages the way you want. You can include the information on text messages that you want. You can disclude information you don't want specific customers to have, depending on their journey, depending on where they're at in their pipeline. And I've talked about these pipeline and stages, I think, in other episodes and certainly on different platforms. But the most important thing, I think, is today you could actually take the list of all customers who've left you. And what we're seeing right now is that 5 to 10% of the people who are no longer members of yours, you can run a campaign, trigger these automations, ask the right questions, right? Using the commitment consistency principle to trigger a response from them. So that way you can go ahead and start asking these questions and kind of have some dialogue and warm them back up. But we're seeing 5 to 10% of those expired, canceled members who've left come back in the door, and it costs you not a dime, right? You just have to implement the system and make sure that that system flows through. As soon as they become a member, what's the next step in their journey? So as we're going through this, we're seeing gym owners see progress, right? Without spending any money. But then on top of that, the challenge that some of the gym owners are facing are some simple things that in the past, I would say they were easier. And today they've become more challenging because now we have A2P 10DLC. 10DLC stands for 10-digit long code. And when you look at what A2P means, okay, A2P simply just means application to person. So it's application to person, application being the phone line, to a person for a 10-digit long code, 10-digit long code being your area code plus the rest of the digits, right? So I think it was last year in August, what they did was the government implemented a requirement and restriction on the way that this stuff goes out, right? You can't have businesses just spamming people and fishing for information. Now, we're in the midst of an election year, and you probably have gotten these, what seems like spam messages in your email or in your phone. And what I found interesting, and just side topic here, what I found interesting is that for politicians, for the government, the rules are a little different. It always is, right? The rules are always different for the government, but they can go ahead and just send out messages to you, no problem for the most part. And they're exempt from these things, right? You don't have to opt in and give them your phone number. They can just send you messages. They just get your list and send you messages. Well, if you're a business, you actually get fined if you don't have the right opt-ins in place, and the customers that you're sending messages to are not happy about you sending them messages. And you get these fines. For example, Twilio is a provider for this application, right? Twilio creates a phone number for you and gives you that phone number. Well, they give you a phone number for maybe a local area code, right? So in your current demographic or your current market, when they give you that phone number and you're sending messages out to, let's say, someone who has another similar phone number, but they're with Verizon or they're with T-Mobile or they're with AT&T, every single carrier has a different fine and fee structure if you are communicating to their customer, right, that has the line on their carrier system. They can implement a fee structure that's anywhere from like $500 to $2,000 per text message. So it's really important that when you do this, you set this up correctly and you set it up the right way, because you can get fined if you don't have opt-ins in place or you don't have opt-outs in place. But more importantly, I think, and I also see this a lot of gym owners are not properly protecting themselves with their agreements. I just did a podcast on this previously with an attorney, gym lawyers, right, in our space. And you can have the correct language in your agreement, and you should have the correct language. More importantly, you should have things like an area in there for model release, right? So if you're taking photos of your gym and they happen to be in the background, they're in the photo. Another sidebar conversation here. If they're in the background of that photo and you want to publish some marketing materials and they see that they're on that photo and you have no model release form on your agreement, well, they could sue you. I've been sued a lot of times for stupid stuff. So, make sure your agreement's kind of ironclad, so to speak. And then on that topic, that agreement should have an opt-in placement in there. So when they sign up for a membership, automatically you have the option to go ahead and send them messages, send them emails, and they can go ahead and opt out. You got to have that language in there too. But my point is that to get A2P 10 DLC approval, okay, to get approved through these regulators, you must fill out this information. And in order to fill out this information to apply for it, it takes like 2 weeks. So even though this and quite honestly, it's not like super hard. It's just time consuming and you got to know all the right steps. So first of all, I just threw a bomb on you, like, hey, do a CRM. But by the way, if you do this, you don't want to get fined, $500 to $2,000 per text message. Well, you might be doing things the wrong way in the first place. You may not have that information in your agreement, right? So that's number one. Check that. And then the other piece is that you may be texting from your own personal phone line and you shouldn't be doing that, right? Or you're texting from some other tool. Just experienced this from a company called Text Request, great product, but some of that stuff is outdated. So you better hope that they actually applied for you to be covered, right? Because if you got that phone number 3 years ago and they didn't do any updates, they didn't inform you, they didn't have you go through a process of filling out your EIN information and all the other information that you need, maybe you're not covered. So if you're sending text messages still on an old system, right? Are you covered? Are you grandfathered in? Maybe you're grandfathered in on a federal level, but maybe not on a state level. So really important to be paying attention to the CRMs and the way that you're communicating with customers, because you could be putting yourself at danger. And if you have questions about this, send me an email, send me don't send me a text. I'll fine you. No, seriously, but send me an email. And, I'd be happy to walk you through the process of the things that I did in order to get this done. Now, like I said, Go High Level is a great product. I think they have done a lot of great things in the way that their systems and operations work. We integrate directly with Go High Level. So if that's something that's on your mind, you're like, how do I do this? Well, we can just integrate that for you and make it real simple. We also integrate with Pipedrive. I think they're another great product. Of course, products that I think are great, we've implemented and put into our software platform. But if you're using another product that's out there, I think there's Zoho, there's a ton of them. If you're using Salesforce, probably too robust unless you're a huge operation. But needless to say, check your agreement. Make sure you got opt-ins and opt-outs. Make sure that if you're sending messages to people, that you're covering yourself. And then, more importantly, get a CRM. Put that thing in place. Take the couple weeks to get approved, to get the proper phone line and the proper channels. And then set your system up so that way you can start reaching out to canceled, expired members and customers so they can come back in the door. Because what we're seeing is 5 to 10% of those come back, and that's an easy boost in revenue before the holiday season kicks off. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.